Peace and power to the true and living. What's good, family? This is Seaborn Nacirfa-Sun, and I am you. Yo, I'm excited to be coming back at you with yet another powerful video. This one is the essence and deception of witchcraft. That's right, family. The essence and deception of witchcraft. So we're going to be diving deep in this video. And the reason why this is such an important topic to get into, and there's certain things that I want to open your eyes up on, is this, witchcraft has become so prevalent, so commonplace these days. And this is something that is so spiritually harmful, right? But the way it is sold to us these days, as if it is harmless, as if it is something actually beneficial and so forth. So we're going to get deep into witchcraft in all the different forms of it. This is something that is very common. I remember not long ago, I was at a high school football game and I saw a lady wearing I think she was like a middle-aged lady, wearing a plain black shirt, and in white letters, all it said was, "I'm a witch," right? And I was thinking, man, that's crazy. Because once upon a time in human history, you couldn't just walk around saying, "I'm a witch." Because there was once a time where witches, being a witch, witchcraft was very frowned upon, and they were met with very serious consequences. They would be burned alive and so forth, right? And I'm not saying that, I want people to be burned alive today and things like that. That's not what I'm saying. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it's so common, and it is so crazy how we went from one extreme to the other. And another thing I realize is, I don't think a lot of people, well, let me say it like this. I think a lot of people have a very narrow view and understanding of witchcraft. And I think that's one of the things that have made it so commonplace without us even realizing that a lot of the things that we love and, get into and celebrate and so forth is witchcraft. It's rooted in witchcraft. I was watching a Bashar video, and someone said in the comments that they were watching a Bashar video and a family member of theirs, walked in on them watching Bashar. And then the family member said to them, "That's witchcraft." And to which they laughed and thinking, oh, these religious people, they think anything is witchcraft if it doesn't fit into their religion or their understanding. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, wait a minute. It may sound crazy, but that is actually witchcraft, right? Which is the point that I was trying to make earlier, that this thing is so common and it has so many different looks and elements to it that it's hard for people to recognize it for what it really is. And in so many cases, we end up, celebrating and practicing these things without realizing it, right? So let's talk about it, because I want to open your eyes to some things that we need to be mindful of, so that, oh, excuse me, look, excuse me, family, that's me stretching out. But anyways, I want to open your eyes to some things that we should be mindful of so we don't fall into the traps, because all these things, eventually what they do on the spiritual level is that they create traps, right? They spiritually entrap us, right? So we have to be mindful of what's going on, what this really is, so we can avoid a lot of these spiritual entrapments. I want to begin with the definition of witchcraft. But before I even say that, let me lay this as the foundation. You cannot get involved in witchcraft, regardless of what form it takes, without connecting to or contacting the demonic and the evil, right? There's just no way around it. And I say that because there are people who will argue, especially those who practice, white witchcraft. They'll argue that, oh, it's beneficial, it's actually good, there's no harm to it, and so forth. That's not true, right? You cannot get involved into witchcraft, regardless of the form it takes, without you contacting or connecting to the demonic and evil. There's no way around it. So let's begin with the definition of witchcraft. What is the definition? Let me flip over here because I wrote it down, family. I wrote it down right here. This is the definition that I'm going to give you so that you can understand what this really is, and so that it can really open your mind up to what it really is, so we can stop having a narrow view of witchcraft, right? So witchcraft is using God's power in his creation to manifest your will or desires without acknowledging, giving credit to, or thanking God, the creator, right? And in many cases, disparaging and discrediting God while using his power, right? Furthermore, it is looking at a physical object as having the power to manifest something in your life. All of that right there, that's the definition, that's the essence of witchcraft. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it again, because that's a foundation, right? Witchcraft is using God's power in his creation to manifest your will or your desire without acknowledging, giving thanks to, or giving credit to God, the creator, right? And in many cases, this is done while disparaging and discrediting God, right? And furthermore, it is looking at some kind of a physical object as having a power to manifest something in your life. That right there is witchcraft. So when you take it in that comprehensive definition, you see that we're all guilty. In some shape, some form, we're all guilty. In some shape, some form, we are practicing or have practiced witchcraft. That's how commonplace this thing is. And that's a part of the deception, right? And now that leads me to, we're gonna talk about the origin and then go into the purpose. The origin. So where does witchcraft come from? Where did human beings get the idea to engage in these various practices and hold these various beliefs, right? In witchcraft, where do we get that from? Family, if you've been on my channel long enough, then you know that we have talked time and time again about the fact that Lucifer is the master of the intellect. And I have gone into detail and I've explained what that means. But if you truly understand that Lucifer is the master of the intellect and how that works, right? And how Lucifer sends, information, to human beings in the material world through the intellect, then it's not hard to understand that, things like witchcraft are given to us by Lucifer and his fallen angels. These various beliefs and practices were given to us by Lucifer and his fallen angels. And part of the deceptive nature, because Lucifer is very deceptive in everything he does, and part of the deceptive nature of witchcraft is that it takes on so many forms, so many different practices. Literally, it's worldwide, it's global. So when you look at human beings, look at just how different we are with our different cultures and so forth. Well, one thing that you find common in every human culture, no matter where you are on this globe, is witchcraft. They all have some form of witchcraft. Right? So that's the origin of it, family. That's where we get these ideas and practices from, is from Lucifer, as it says in the Bible, right? He is the prince of the air and so forth. What does that really mean when it says he's the prince of the air? Right? Information. How does information travel? Through the airwaves, through radio waves, through thought forms. Right? So that's where witchcraft come from. It is a Luciferian thing that was given to us. Right? And it all leads to this idea, Lucifer's grand idea, the greatest lie ever told, right? That was told to the woman in the Garden of Eden. You can be like God. Right? Witchcraft is centered around this idea that you can be like God. And that goes to the definition that I read for you earlier. Because essentially that's all they're trying to do. Is trying to use the power of God to manifest their desire and their will. It's like, hey God, we want to use your power, but without you, without your laws. We don't care for your word and all that. We just want to be able to use your power. Right? So it goes back to this whole idea of you are God or you can be like God. Right? Witchcraft is centered all around that. That is a foundation of witchcraft. Right? And the purpose of witchcraft is to replace, right? Is to replace God and make you forget about God. Think about it, family. Is to replace God and make you forget about God. Because if you're able to do what God does, then why do you need God? See, this is the reason why Lucifer has tricked us into accepting that idea that we can be like God, that we can do what God does. Because once you accept that idea, right, then why do you need God? Therefore, you replace God with your practices of witchcraft, and therefore you forget about him in your mind. That's the purpose of witchcraft. That's why Lucifer gave it to us. And family, if you can see, this is working very well. It is working very well, family. Right? What else? So, therefore, when we look at this new age spiritual movement, new age spirituality, new age or new thoughts, whatever they call it, it's all the same thing essentially, right? It is nothing but witchcraft rebranded. New age spirituality, new thoughts, right? All that stuff is new age. It is the rebranding of witchcraft. That's all it is. Because the beliefs and the practices all remain the same. Nothing's changed. Right? Now let's move into the next section here that I title the cloaks of witchcraft. And these cloaks make it very hard to detect witchcraft. Right? Because of the various cloaks in which it has been dressed up. One of those cloaks is spirituality. The word spirituality. And here's the deception with that word. A lot of people think that just because something is spiritual, that means it is good. No, family. Just because you hear the word spirituality, it doesn't mean that whatever it is referring to is good. No. Because there is spiritual evil. There is spiritual darkness. Lucifer is a spiritual being. Right? So just because something is spiritual doesn't mean it is good. And often you will see and hear a lot of these practices of witchcraft being referred to as spiritual practices or as spirituality. This is the reason why you hear a lot of people say, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Right? And that used to be me. I used to say that, thinking that, saying that would separate me from, people who are religious. Because I wanted people to understand that, I don't really practice no religion, but I am into, spirituality and things like that. I do pray, I do meditate, I do believe, But then later on, I realized that it's all the same, family. Whether you say, oh, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. It's really, at the end of the day, it's all religious. Because what religious means, it just means to something that you do all the time, a belief that you hold, right? Practices that you do all the time, a belief that is upheld by you. So it's all religious, right? It's all religious. But just because something is termed spiritual doesn't mean that it is good. And I think that's one of the things that we have fallen for when it comes to New Age spirituality, which is really the rebranding of witchcraft. So this is how witchcraft is sold to us, is given to us, and we accept it, right? Thinking that we're cool. It makes us feel powerful, makes us feel unique, makes us feel connected. So we accept it. No, it's not good, family. It's a deception. It's a major deception. And somewhere along this video, if I don't forget, we'll dive into the deception of euphoria, because a lot of these practices of witchcraft makes people feel very euphoric. But that's a trick, family, right? So what's the other cloak of witchcraft? Oh, magic. That's another word that is used to rebrand what witchcraft really is. Magic, right? It's magic. That's why when you look at, oh my gosh, just pick any Disney movie. It's like they couldn't think of anything else, family. Because the themes, the elements, I mean, it all revolves around some form of witchcraft when you look at all these Disney movies. And not just Disney, But I'm using Disney because, I mean, you are sure to find it in surplus when it comes to Disney products. Right? Magic. It's another rebranding of Witchcraft. So they sell you all these things, the movies, the personalities, the princess, magic. Disney World, Disneyland, magic. Mickey Mouse, magic. Do you believe in magic? Right? Magic. Well, all magic is, family, is a clever rebranding of witchcraft. Right? And that's why I titled this video The Essence and Deception, because once you understand the essence, then you're able to recognize witchcraft in all its form and the many ways in which it is sold to us. Family, this is a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war. And the enemy is very skilled, knows exactly what he's doing, knows how to dress up the most evil things, knows how to dress it up and sell it to you under the most, happiest, warmest names and so forth. It's a spiritual war, family. That's why I'm making this video, to help open your eyes. And if your eyes are already open to this, then each one teach one, then wake somebody else up. You know what I'm saying? What else? Other cloaks of witchcraft. That's the toys and the games, right? The toys and the games, the magic wands and so forth, the Harry Potter games, the books, right? All of those. And I'm going to get a little deeper into this later when I talk about the various tools of witchcraft, right? So now let's talk about the various looks of witchcraft. And I mentioned this earlier. So many different forms. You have the dark and demonic forms of it. Right? The dark and demonic forms. You see a lot of, monsters or goddess of death and things like that. Right? You have the dark and demonic forms. And then you also have the cultural form. Witchcraft has infiltrated human cultures everywhere, regardless of, what culture it is. It has been infiltrated by witchcraft. So it takes on the cultural forms. You see people branding themselves. And again, every culture does this. Brand themselves some way, somehow. And then when you look into the Masonic fraternities, right? Because that's all the Masons are. There's just a very sophisticated, well-organized form of witchcraft. That's all it is. And all these secret societies, all these Greek organizations, they're all Masonic organizations. You know what I mean? It's just a very well-organized form of witchcraft. And they brand themselves. Just like the cultural forms of witchcraft, they brand themselves, right? And then you have the one I mentioned earlier, the white witchcraft. This is the one that appears to be all good and benevolent. It's not harmful. The healing herbs, respecting nature, Mother Earth, and it's not to say that those things are not, like, there's nothing wrong with respecting nature. There's nothing wrong with, being at one with nature and having knowledge of healing herbs and so forth. No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And we should have those relationships, with our planet, with nature. But we go wrong. You turn a good thing bad when, again, going back to the definition I gave earlier, right? When you start thinking that these things have a power, of their own to do something in your life, or when you start worshiping them, right? Or when you use them as a substitute for God and so forth. I mean, that's when it goes wrong. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having a very, reverential relationship with nature and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. But worship the Creator, not the creation. Worship God, not that which He created. Nothing, absolutely nothing else is worthy of worship except for God. And worshiping anything else is blasphemous. It's a disrespect to the Creator. When you look at anything with the same kind of reverential awe that you will look at God, or should look at God, then you're sinning. Then you're violating against God. Then you're in violation of that first commandment. I am the Lord thy God. You shall have no gods but me. You know what I mean? And that right there is the essence of witchcraft. That's what witchcraft does. So back to the foundation that I laid earlier. You cannot get involved with witchcraft without connecting to, right, or contacting the demonic and evil, even with the white witchcraft. You have to understand there's a lot of fallen angels out there who are masquerading as saviors. It doesn't mean that that's what they are. So now let's talk about manifesting. Manifesting is just a form of witchcraft. In the New Age movement, they call it manifesting, but what it really is stealing from God. And that's what witchcraft is. With witchcraft, you are stealing from God. Right? So going back to the definition, let me give you the definition again. Using God's power and His creation to manifest your will or desire without acknowledging, giving credit to, or thanking God. And in many cases, right, disparaging and discrediting God while using His power, and looking at physical objects as having the power to manifest something in your life. So witchcraft is stealing from God. What these New Age spiritual people call manifesting, in essence, in reality, is just stealing from God. That's all they're doing. And that's wrong. That has dire spiritual consequences. Think about it, family. When you're trying to use the power of God to manifest, right? To manifest certain things in your life, or to create the kind of life that you want, you're stealing from God. When you don't give Him credit, when you don't acknowledge Him, when you look at these things as having power of their own, right? Because in creation, in life, there is only one power, right? Matter of fact, let's get deep, right? There is only one power in existence Not in creation. In existence, there is only one power. There is only one life. And that's God. God and God alone is life. God and God alone is living. Everything else is just a consequence of this life. And on the level of human beings, we are a permitted consequence of life, which is God. In life, and life alone has power. That's God. God and God alone has power. So there is no life, there is no power outside of God. Right? So whenever you're doing these things, your various spiritual practices, praying to the universe, what you are doing is you are stealing from life. Because all those things are only made possible with the power of life. We human beings, everything. So you're stealing from God. That's what you're doing. Right? You're stealing from God. You are usurping. That's what it is. You are usurping. And that's a crime. Think about it, family. What do you think are the spiritual consequences of stealing from God? Using his power and his creation to do whatever, to serve you. But then you disparage him. You don't give him credit. You don't give him gratitude. And you think that's okay. What do you think are the spiritual consequences of that? When here in our human world, on this planet Earth, we have laws against stealing. Whether you're stealing physical property or intellectual property, we have laws against that. If somebody writes a book, I can't just go and copy that book and republish it under my name and say that's my work, and then take all the credit for it. I can't do that. We have laws against that. What would happen to me if I do that? I will go to jail. I will have to pay a lot of money. I will have to suffer the consequences of that. So if it's not okay to steal from another human being, whether physical or intellectual property, then why do y'all think it's okay to steal from God? You want to use his power. You want to use his creation and bend it to your will to manifest your life. But you don't give him credit. You don't point other people in the direction. You want to take the credit for yourself. You want to act as if God doesn't exist, as if you have some kind of a power on your own strength. How can you have power when you don't even have life? Have you ever thought about that? Oh, of course you didn't think about that because you're not even aware that you're not even living. You're not life. You're not even aware that there is only one life, that God and God alone is living. Right? So you You have stumbled upon God's power, his creation. And due to a certain understanding of it, you've been able to manifest something. So now you think you have power. Now you think you have life, or that you can create life, or that you have some kind of a control over life when you don't even know what life is. So think about that, family. What do you think are the consequences of stealing from God? When you can't even steal from a human being. So then what do you think are the consequences of stealing from God? And not only stealing from God, with things like witchcraft, you're turning people away from God. So it is stealing from God in the sense that you're stealing his flock, his creatures. All these creatures, human beings, animals, they all belong to the Creator. They were all created by his power and are all sustained by his power. So witchcraft essentially is stealing from God. And it makes sense when you understand that the foundation of Luciferianism is this whole idea of you can be like God. Or as they say in New Age spirituality, you are God. That's a lie. That is a Luciferian deception. See, that's what Lucifer wished he can be. He wants to be God. He wishes he can be God. So he steals that which is of God, and then he inverts it, he twists it to match his will, his image. He takes that which is of God and recreates it in his image. Lucifer is a thief. He's a liar. And he has given you witchcraft so that you can join him in stealing and lying to God. That's what witchcraft is, regardless of the form it takes, family. You know what I mean? That's what it is. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. What else? I mean, I'm probably gonna have to cut this video short, family, because there's so many things that I want to say that I can't say. Now let's talk about some of the tools of witchcraft. Again, these things are so commonplace, right? But see, boy, what's wrong with these things? I've been using these things for years. Come on, see, boy, what do you mean? There's nothing harmful. What are some of these tools of witchcraft? The crystals, right? Those beautiful crystals come in all different colors and shapes and so forth. Those crystals, those stones, right? The beads, right? The Ouija boards, feathers, right? The carvings, the masks. Especially when you look at a lot of African and Native American art, sculptures and so forth, the carvings, the masks, right? The magic wands, right? Oh, drugs, of course. Drugs, psychedelic drugs and other illicit drugs. And so many other things. But these are just some of the tools of witchcraft that I can think of in a moment. Right? And these things are prevalent. They're everywhere. I still have some of those crystals. Used to have the necklaces and so forth. The stones. I still have some of them, but I stopped messing with it because I had them under the wrong pretenses. I had them under, I was using it as, as a witch would. I was with those crystals. I was practicing witchcraft, and I didn't even realize it, right? Because I was looking to them as having some kind of a power to manifest something in my life. Because when you buy these crystals, there's all kind of different crystals. They'll tell you, oh, this is the crystal of peace. This is the crystal of healing. This is the crystal of, help you deal with depression and anxiety. So many different things, right? But family, that's wrong. When you buy these crystals or whatever else with that kind of conviction, that kind of understanding, that's witchcraft, and that's wrong. And then you're connecting to the demonic. You're connecting to the demonic. See, that's how Lucifer. See, this is fishing, family. Lucifer's a master fisherman. Witchcraft is fishing for Lucifer. Because all these elements of witchcraft, they are attached to some demonic entity, some fallen Luciferian entity. So whenever you start using these various things, such as the crystals, the beads, or whatever have you, you then connect, you summon, and you connect to those entities. This is family. This is a spiritual warfare. Lucifer is fishing for souls, and he's using witchcraft for that, family. It's a spiritual war that we're involved in here, family. So, as I said, I used to use those crystals under those pretenses that it was going to bring some kind of healing into my life, right? But think about it, family. What is power? Where does power come from? Power can only come from life. And God alone is living. So nothing outside of God has power. Nothing. Not you, not me, not your crystals, not your beads. None of that. Not your pastor, not your pope, not your mama, nothing has power outside of God. So it is wrong for you to start looking at these crystals, these beads, these Ouija boards, the feathers, the carvings, the masks, the magic wands, the drugs, as having some kind of a power. No, God and God alone is living, and therefore God and God alone has power. These things don't have power. God has the power. Right? God has the power. And God's power comes to us through many different vehicles. Right? For example, when you take a medicine and it heals you of an ailment, that medicine didn't have no power to heal you from that ailment. What healed you from the ailment was the power of God. Right? But you needed the vehicle of that medication. You needed that vehicle. Whether it was a pill or a surgery or whatever have you. You needed that vehicle to heal you. But that vehicle does not have power. Does not have power. God, the power comes from God. But the power of God, right? Because of your limitations, because of your lack of knowledge, you need certain vehicles to deliver that power of God to you. It doesn't mean that the medication has some kind of a power to heal you. It doesn't mean that the surgery had any kind of a power to heal you. because nothing has power. And it has been proven time and time again. Have you heard of the placebo pills? Have you heard of the placebo effect, where they will tell a person that they're giving them some medicine and they will tell them this medicine is going to heal you of your sickness. In reality, they're not really giving that person medicine. They're probably giving that person some kind of a sugar pill or something, and the person swallows this sugar pill, thinking that it's medicine. And because they think and believe that they're taking the medicine, they become healed. Same thing with surgeries. They'll tell a person, we're going to operate on you. We're going to perform this surgery to heal you. They don't really perform a surgery. They will cut them open and close them back up, stitch them back up. But they don't perform no surgery. And then that person will become healed. It's happened before. It's been proven. It's called the placebo effect. What do you think is happening there, family? What's happening there is the power of God at work. What did Jesus say? Ask and it shall be given to you. What does he mean? What did Jesus mean when he was telling us that? Seek and you shall find, ask and it shall be given to you. What did he mean when he told us that? Ask and it shall be given to you. Means that if you know, it's not even a belief. When you get to this place of knowing, see, this is the love of God. This is the beauty of God. That he gives you his power. He doesn't hide it from you. Once you get to that place of knowing and truly understanding, then God allows you to command that power. That's why Moses was able to command the sea. And so many prophets have been able to do it, have been able to command animals, wild beasts, and so forth. But it is possible when you get to that place. And that's a place of deep spiritual knowing, deep spiritual development and understanding, to where you command this power of God that is in you, because it's always in you. When you get a cut on your arm and it heals without you doing anything, what do you think is healing you? There's a power inside of you that heals you. Where do you think that power comes from? It doesn't come from you. That's God's power. And when you're connected to God, excuse me, I did it again, family. When you're connected to God, your creator, as he wills you to be, then he gives it to you to command his power. Because he knows that you'll do nothing but good with his power. But then, when you accept the Luciferian lies, then you think that it is some kind of a trick, right? You think that you need some magic potion. You think you need some kind of a seance, right? You think you need the crystals and the beads. You think you need the yogic practice and so forth to command this power. No, those are the lies of Lucifer. God gives it to his own to command his power. It's not hidden, family. It's within all of us. But you don't get to command his power like that if you're not of the light. If you're going to use it for evil. That's why in order to use it for evil, they have to use all these things. The seances, the potions, the spells, the crystals and the Ouija boards, the feathers and the ayahuascas and the drugs. They have to use all of that now. When God gives it to his own to command the power with their word and their will. That's what Jesus meant when he told you that you can do what I do. But that takes a certain level of spiritual development and connection to God. It takes a certain level of knowing God to be able to command his power with your word and your will. Like that. Right? But if you don't have that, then you resort to the various tools. Right? These tools have no power of their own. Right? And just to let you know, whenever you're using any kind of a physical object to manifest whatever, whenever you're using any kind of a physical object, the darkness always has a greater hold over that physical object. The darkness has dominion over the material world in any physical object because Lucifer has conquered this material world. So for the time being, any kind of a physical object, the darkness will have more power over any kind of a physical object in this material world right now. So whenever you're using those crystals, those beads, and so forth, it makes it very easy then for the fallen Luciferian entities to connect with you through those physical objects, because for the time being, the world of the physical is their dominion. They have rulership over that for the time being. Family. My people suffer from their lack of spiritual knowledge, family. This is why I'm always pointing y'all to the Grail message. I'm telling y'all these things not because I'm some kind of a wise and great intelligent person. No. I'm not any better than you, family. I just got the Grail message. That's the only difference. I found the word, I recognized it, I latched onto it, and I never let go. That's the only difference. I'm not no prophet. I'm not saying this so you can follow me. Follow the word. Follow the Grail message, family, not me. Right? So you may be enlightened by some of these things I'm saying. Your eyes may be open, but it's not because I'm some kind of a, wise and intelligent great prophet. Nah, family. I'm just like you. I'm just like you, family. You know what I mean? I'm not no better than you. So those are the tools of witchcraft. Now let's talk about the practices of witchcraft. Again, all these new age spiritual practices is all practices of witchcraft, family. That's all it is. So yoga, again, right? I know some of y'all gonna get mad at me, like, Seymour, why you picking on yoga? You always talking about yoga and meditation and Reiki. You always picking on. I know some of y'all can get tired of it, but family, we are in a spiritual war. And for those of us who know, those of us whose eyes are open, it is our job to expose this evil, to expose this darkness, to help our brothers and sisters. We're not alone in this, family, and you cannot be in it just for yourself. Because I can simply just sit down, with my Grail message and my Bible and all the other publications that come with that, and dive deep into my studies, go deep into my prayer and my fasting and so forth, and just worry about myself and forget about, trying to help anybody else, enlighten anyone else. I can do that. But when you have this knowledge and you understand what's happening, family, you realize that you're not in this by yourself, and you cannot be in this just for yourself. We have to become warriors of the light, family. We have to become warriors of the light. Because you see, the warriors of the darkness, they stand proud these days. They're not ashamed to admit it. They're bold with it. Look at the persecution of Christianity that's happening. That's because the warriors of the darkness are proud, and they're standing bold in that role. So we have to stand bold as warriors of the light. And the most important part of that is speaking the word into the darkness. Speaking the word. Speaking the word, family. We got to speak the word. You know what I mean? So practices of witchcraft. We have yoga. And I've mentioned this so many times, family. We have to understand, why do I say that yoga is of the darkness? Is a Luciferian thing? Because of the origin of yoga, these poses, the chanting, right? These are all, they all come from Lucifer. These yoga poses were worshipful poses to certain demonic entities. Why do you think such a devilish person like Aleister Crowley, right, was deep into yoga, even wrote a book about it? Why was he deep into yogic practices? Someone like that who promoted nothing but Satanism, doing ritual sacrifices. Why was he so deep and heavy into yoga? Come on, family. Because someone like him, he understands the true origin of yoga, what these poses really mean, what these chants really mean. You know what I mean? The deception runs deep, family. Right? Oh, come on, Seaborn. Because when you tell people things about yoga, about meditation, certain forms of meditation, that form of meditation that talks about quiet your mind, try to get you to stop thinking, turn it off your thought, that is a very dangerous form of meditation. That is no different from hypnosis, the Reiki. When you tell people all these things are very dangerous spiritual practices, they protest. Come on, Seaborn. These things have helped me. They have really helped me. The yoga, the Reiki, the hypnosis. I was able to quit my addiction through hypnosis. I was able to heal some trauma through Reiki. Right? I'm really at peace when I meditate. Come on, Seaborn. So very briefly, family, I want to talk to y'all about the tricks of euphoria. The deception of feeling very euphoric. Family, this is what y'all have to understand. Again, we are in a spiritual war. You are in a spiritual war against entities that are far more knowledgeable and powerful than you are. And the only chance that we stand is with our Creator God. The tricks of euphoria, family. Why you can't say, oh, Seaborn, these things make me feel good. These things have helped me. They have healed me. Why you cannot use that excuse of euphoria is this. Lucifer has, his fallen angels are all over the material world, family. They're everywhere. And their job is to capture souls for Lucifer. Right? So they have to use bait. They have to use things that'll make it like, what is the analogy or metaphor? Damn, it just came to mind. And then it escaped me. Right? When, like the Matrix, right? When people are asleep, People are asleep in the matrix. What is the matrix? What is the matrix number one job? Is to keep people asleep in the matrix. Is to keep people from waking up. And the way it does it is to distract you, either by giving you everything you want, or sometimes even by distracting you, by giving you just the right amount of hardship, stress and pain and so forth, right? But the matrix at all costs must keep you from waking up. Well, family, that's the same way these fallen entities are operating. You're in the matrix, you're asleep. They have used witchcraft to keep you asleep. And they have to use it to keep you from waking up. So they'll give you the things that are, make you feel good, are very euphoric. May even help you heal some trauma, right? May give you some profound truths. May help you come to some closure and so forth, right? They'll do all those things, give you just enough of the euphoria to keep you asleep, to keep you from waking up. Because if you were to wake up, you will see that you're in their clutches. They are fattening you so they can eat you later on. That's what's happening here, family. So that's why you can't use that trick of, I feel good. It's helped me do this, that, and the third. You can't use that. Because they'll help you to a certain level just to keep you spiritually, ethereally feathered, trapped. They will do that, family. Y'all have no idea just how deep this stuff goes, to the extent that they will go. But that's what they do, right? So these are some of the practices of witchcraft. The yoga, the meditations, the chanting, the Reiki, the hypnosis. It's all there, family, right? Now, let's move on to the next thing, because it's getting time to kind of bring this to a close. Witchcraft and its effects on Africa and places like Africa. Witchcraft and its effect on Africa and places like Africa. You see, the thing about it is, family, I was born in Africa. I was born in Liberia. My family was one of those that lucked up and came here. We was able to escape the war that was going on in Liberia at the time. And we lucked up and came to America, right? So I came to America at a very young age. I was about 8 years old when my family came to America, right? So I grew up in America. I was educated by America. So in so many ways, I'm more American than I am African. But then again, in so many other ways, I'm more African than I am American. So I'm the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So I was one of those, being that even though I was born in Africa, I grew up in America and I was educated by America. So I'm a product of America. And for much of my adolescent life, well into my late 20s, I should say, I was fighting this Black liberation fight. I looked at myself as a freedom fighter, right? I was under the conviction that, yes, slavery is over, but not mentally, right? It's still not equal for Black people. Black people are still, being economically enslaved. We're still being mistreated. We're still being murdered and so forth. Police brutality, all that nonsense, right? I was heavy into that. And I spent a lot of my life, a lot of my resources, my money, my time, my energy fighting that Black liberation battle, right? for many years. And when I looked at Africa, because you look at places like Africa, but not just Africa, but I use Africa as an example because I am African. I do have that African experience, right? I do remember life back in Liberia, right? When the war came and all of that, how life was before the war, going to school and, it was just different. So I do have that African experience, right? But then you look at places like Africa, you're like, man, why are we so damn behind? In so many ways, we Africans are so behind. Economically, it's like we just can't get it right. We're poor. We're in poverty. You look at the Western world, they're so much more advanced than we are. Why can't we just get it right? And I used to think it was because of the white man, because of racism, right? Because the white man's trying to keep the black man down so that he can use our resources, right? I used to think that. And don't get me wrong, there are some truths. There's some truth in that, right? But ultimately, the biggest person to blame for the black condition, for the African condition, is the African man, not the white man. It's the African man, right? Same thing here with black Americans. Want to blame the white man, racism, slavery. No, it's not the white man's fault that black people are behind. It's the black man's fault. But that's hard to tell black people that. It's hard to tell that to African people, right? But eventually, family, through spiritual growth and development, through my studies, through the Grail message, through the spiritual growth and development that I attained through the Grail message, I came to see the truth. And I realized, wow, it's so simple, right? It's not that God likes the white man more. It's not that God hates Africa. It's us, we, the Africans. The reason why Africa is behind in all the ways in which it is behind is our fault. It is the fault of the African man, not the white man. I know, right? Shocker, right? It's easy to believe that it's the white man's fault. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, black man. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, African man. It is your fault. You and me, it is our fault that Africa is in the condition that it is in today. It's not the white man's fault, right? The white man just saw an opportunity to exploit it, and we made it very easy for him to do that, right? It's our fault. And when you look at witchcraft, family, witchcraft in Africa is one of the main reasons why Africa and Africans continue to lag behind, because of the presence of witchcraft in Africa. And y'all may think I'm crazy. Y'all hearing this, y'all may think I'm crazy. And some of you Africans, I know y'all probably cursing me right now. What is this crazy man talking about? What you crazy, man? What you talking about, man? What you mean? Now you're crazy thing, what you talking there? Foolish thing, move from here. I'm trying to do all my different African accents. I mean, better move from here, my man. Now you're crazy thing, you talking there? I know a lot of y'all may be cursing me. But family, when you truly understand the presence of witchcraft in Africa, witchcraft has a heavy, oppressive, lingering stench in Africa. And that's one of the main things that keeps Africa behind. And y'all may think I'm crazy. Just look into it, family. And the thing about it is, it's so freaking commonplace. right? I mean, here I'm living here in America, and I'm telling you that it's very commonplace in America, but no, way more so in Africa is it commonplace. Way more so in Africa is a commonplace. Family. The presence of witchcraft in Africa is so heavy, family. It's so oppressive. And remember, there's so many different elements of witchcraft, but with all those elements, right? There are ethereal attachments, right? Luciferian entities, various Luciferian entities are attached to all these different elements and practices of witchcraft. So these things have a heavy presence over Africa and the African people. And that keeps us down, family. Now I understand when I said, when you look at the history of how, why, the Europeans were able to go to Africa and take Christianity over there. And before, that was something that I used to frown upon, right? I looked at it as something oppressive. While the Europeans, went to Africa and conquered the Africans and forced their Christianity upon the Africans. Family, I now realize that as brutal as those things were, those were some of the things that helped to save Africa. And don't get me wrong, I understand it came with a lot of brutality, right? And I'm not saying it was a perfect situation, but I'm saying that right there, the taking of Christianity to Africa, these Europeans going into Africa and destroying a lot of these indigenous African practices and carvings and so forth, and giving them Christianity in the Bible, that helped to save the souls of so many African people. Y'all have no idea. But you look at the history, you frown upon it because you only see the earthly, harsh manifestations of it. Oh, these evil white people. They killed my ancestors. My ancestors. Oh, my ancestors. It was things like that helped to save Africa, that helped to lift Africa out of that oppressive darkness of witchcraft that hangs over that whole entire continent. I'm telling y'all, it's so prevalent, so commonplace that even we Africans who became Christians still practice some form of witchcraft. And we want to think that it's the white man. No, family. It is us first. Number one. We have to look at ourselves. See, that's why I'm making this video. That's how serious this thing is. Because you want to look at witchcraft, you want to think that it's something, that we can be frivolous about. Oh, it's nothing serious. It's just fun and games. The kids are just playing with their magic wand. They're just watching Harry Potter and playing Harry Potter games. There's no harm in that. Well, these are just my crystals. They bring me peace. Yeah, I want to take these things lightly. Because you're not aware of the heavy spiritual consequences. How harmful these things are. So when you look at a continent like Africa, why do we remain behind the ways in which we have for so damn long? Witchcraft, family. And now, a lot of these American entertainers, not just the Black American entertainers, a lot of these American entertainers are taking that same African voodoo witchcraft nonsense and now bringing it here, rebranding in it, rebranding it, putting it into music and culture and so forth. And y'all think that stuff is cool. The same nonsense that has crippled Africa and kept Africa in the darkness for so damn long is now coming over here rebranded. And y'all accepting that, not realizing what it is, and y'all think that crap is cool. And that's why in one of my previous videos, I mentioned that lady, not because I'm trying to be a hater, not because I'm trying to slander everyone, but because we have to expose the darkness. When I mentioned that lady, Ayana Van Zan from Ayana Saved My Life. Why did I mention her? I was trying to make a specific point. I'm trying to point out just how strategic, just how clever the darkness is. Because you take a woman like that, of course, her image, her whole platform is very clean. Oh, come on, Seaborn. Stop being a hater. Why are you picking on that lady? All she does is help people. But you don't know that she's involved in this African witchcraft nonsense. You don't know that she's heavy in that. I'm telling y'all, philanthropy, charity is one of the ways in which these Luciferians have been able to trick the whole damn world. Now we're all eating out of their damn hands. You look at your damn Oprahs and all these people. Even the Mother Teresas and all these people. You eat out of their damn hands. Because you think that they're some saints. And that's how they disguise the darkness that they're perpetrating in this world. We have to expose this stuff. Call it hate and call it whatever you want. We have to expose this darkness. Call me crazy, family. But I have come to that conviction that it is the presence of witchcraft in Africa that has kept us in the darkness and kept us back for so damn long. And now they're taking that same crap and rebranding it, bringing it over here to America, rebranding it with the Beyoncés and all these damn rappers. Same nonsense, family. It's the same nonsense. This stuff has serious consequences, man. God is not mocked. You cannot mock the Creator. When the Creator told you in the very first commandment, I am the Lord thy God. You should have nothing before me. Nothing. That was not something to be mocking. That was not a joke. And all witchcraft does is make a mockery of that first and most essential commandment. Now, a lot of y'all will protest. Come on, Seaborn, right? When you look at all these witches, the Abraham Hicks, the Bashars, the Jane Roberts, all these spirit channelers, all these gurus, all these celebrities, the musicians, the actors, all of them, all these politicians, they are all witches and warlocks. All of them. Your favorite celebrities, no matter who they are, they're all witches and warlocks. All of them. Even your pastors. Your pastors. Here's a challenge for all my church-going Christians. Here's a challenge for y'all. Find me a pastor who is not a Mason. Find me a pastor who is not a Mason. That's a challenge for all my church-going Christians. All these people are witches. All of them. So when these things are being pointed out to you, you look at people like me, oh, come on, Seaborn, you're crazy. Oh, come on, Seaborn, you're a hater. Come on, Seaborn. Why are you hating all these people? These are good people. Look at all the good they've done in the world. Come on, Seaborn. Why are you hating on yoga and meditation? It's helped so many people. Just because something makes you feel good, just because it may have helped you deal with some trauma or whatever the case is, doesn't mean that it is not spiritually dangerous, and doesn't mean that it is not spiritually entrapping you. Remember, that's how these fallen angels work. They don't want you to wake up. So if you felt like something was wrong, right? They want to rock you to sleep. So of course they're going to help you get rid of the pain and anxiety and all these things as a way of keeping you asleep. So yes. So don't think just because you've gotten some kind of healing through these practices and beliefs and so forth that it is good. No, family. It is a trap. And when you understand that nothing but God and God alone has power, then why do you need these other things? Why would you need a yoga? Why would you need Reiki? Why would you need a Sadhguru? Why would you need an Abraham Hicks and a Bashar? Why would you need freaking crystals? Why would you need a Ouija board? When you truly know and understand that God and God alone has power, then you realize that you cannot turn to anything but God to do anything in your life, to manifest anything in your life. And turning to anything else is blasphemous. It's a violation of that first commandment. It's a violation against God. And that's a serious violation. Come on, family. So this is the essence and deception of witchcraft. It's everywhere. Witchcraft is Luciferian in all its forms. You cannot partake in these beliefs and practices without connecting yourself to, without summoning these demonic Luciferian entities. And these entities will give you the euphoric feeling. They will give you the objects of your desires and so forth. Because what they're getting in return from you is your damn soul. You're getting trinkets. They're getting your very life force. While you're getting trinkets. And then you argue with people like me up and down. I'm the crazy one because I'm pointing this stuff out to you because I'm telling you that God and God alone has a power to do whatever is needed to be done in your life. There is no power outside of God. But I'm the crazy one, right? Because you want to hang freaking carvings and statues and things like that. You want to freaking worship crystals and think that crystals are healing you, right? You want to listen to the Abraham Hicks and the Bashars and the Jane Roberts and hang on to every little thing they say because you think they're some perfect light entities. And I'm telling you, God and God alone. And they're giving you all this stuff to substitute God. This is the essence and deception of witchcraft. Using the power of God and His creation to manifest your desires and your will without acknowledging, giving thanks to, giving credit to the Creator. That's witchcraft. And expecting these material objects to be able to manifest something in your life, to do something in your life. That's witchcraft. And that takes a whole lot of different forms. And that stuff is spreading darkness all over the world, family. And again, I'm using Africa as an example, but it's not just Africa. Look at all these indigenous places. Look at the Latin America. You'll see it there too. Presence of witchcraft is heavy in Latin America too. Look at the Indian cultures, the Muslims. It's all there. It just all takes a different form, family. They all take a different form. So when people like the Native Americans, right? You look at what happened to the Native Americans. Oh, these evil Europeans, just like they did with the Africans. Oh, they came to slaughter the Native Americans. And they stole from them and they slaughtered them. Family, y'all not seeing the whole story. Y'all not seeing that what happened to the Native American was a manifestation of their spiritual state of being. All the things that they have been doing, all the witchcraft, the human sacrifices that they were doing, the animal sacrifices and things like that, the way they were slaughtering each other. So it's not just the Africans. It's happened everywhere, family. That's the presence of witchcraft everywhere, family. So that's why these people had to be conquered. They manifested that. And it doesn't mean that the conquerors are some angels. It doesn't mean that the conquerors are not under Luciferian influence, because they are. It doesn't mean that the conquerors are not guilty, because they are. So don't watch this video and think, oh, Seaborn is praising the white man. He's praising the white Europeans for what they did. No, I'm not. I'm giving you the truth. I'm telling you that a lot of good came out of what they did. The fact that they conquered the Africans and the Native Americans and other people and forced the Bible and Christianity onto them, I'm telling you that was a good thing. Even though it took such a harsh, grotesque, harmful, and painful form, it was a good thing because it saved the souls of a lot of these people. It got rid of a lot of these demons that was attached and connected to these people. But it doesn't mean that the conquerors are guiltless. You know what I mean, family? The truth is a hard pill to swallow. The truth is a hard pill to follow. To swallow. So don't say you want the truth if you're not willing to accept the harshness, the pain that comes with that. It's a hard pill to follow, family. The truth is. But there is no liberation from this spiritual darkness. There is no winning of this spiritual warfare without acknowledging, accepting, and adjusting ourselves to the truth. Because that's how we got in this mess in the first place, was by denying the truth and accepting Lucifer's lies. Family. And like I said, man, there's so many things that I can go on and say, but I think I've said enough with this, family. So realize that this witchcraft is a serious thing. And they're spreading this witchcraft culture right under our noses. They're making it, things that are, they're making it acceptable. They dress it up. Bright colors. They call it spirituality. They call it magic. They got the toys and all of that. It is all a deception. That's Lucifer selling you his evil, his darkness, his lies. The same lie that he sold us from the Garden of Eden, telling you that if you eat of this fruit, you can be like God and you can do what God does, that you can become God. It's the same lies that is still being sold to us under witchcraft. So with that being said, family, I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. There is only one life. That's God. There's only one power. That's God. God and God alone is living. God and God alone has power. Whatever you need done in your life can be done with the power of God. No crystal, no herb, no amount of sage that you burn, no amount of yoga and meditation and chanting that you do will be able to replace God, will be able to do for you what God can do for you. All those things are cheap shortcuts, manifestations. It is stealing from God. Whenever you do these things, you are stealing from God. You're being very dishonest with yourself, and you're being very dishonest with God. And it comes with heavy spiritual consequences, even though you may feel just fine and dandy right now. You're stealing from God. So with that being said, family, peace and power to the true and living. This is Seaborn Nacirfa-Sun, and I am you. Experience the Grail message. I'll see y'all next time.
A special book which clearly answers the unsolved problems of human existence. The vast knowledge mediated in its pages leads the earnestly seeking reader, who weighs and examines objectively out of all the chaos of present-day confusion and distortion, to clear recognitions. This book commands attention by its forceful language, by the clarity of its thoughts, and by the setting right of distorted concepts, unmistakably and sometimes severely but irrefutably explained. The laws in which the entire creation came into being and exists are plainly set forth. The world happening is interpreted in its true significance, and man's responsibility before his God and his fellow men is revealed and explained. Thus, to him who opens himself to these recognitions is restored the indestructible inner security of his personality. For the seeking human being, the lectures of this work deal with all essential questions and spheres of life: natural sciences, ethnology, social and economic questions, religion and church, psychology and cultivation of the spirit, family and state, sex and sexuality, occultism and spiritualism, justice and law, knowledge and wisdom, the world, time and eternity, and lastly, the recognition of God. Whoever bears the desire for it living within him and is willing to make the effort will be helped to fulfillment by the work in the light of truth, the Grail message of Abu Shin. The author writes, I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he honestly seeks for the truth. With my message, I now open the book of creation for you. The message clearly shows you the language of God in creation, which you must learn to understand so that you can make it completely your own. The author recommends that the lectures of this work be read in sequence and not picked out individually, seeking to judge the work in this way. The knowledge of the Grail message cannot be grasped by simply glancing through it. It is the sacred responsibility of the human spirit to recognize his God and his laws through which the human being and the entire creation came into existence.